Hallelujah. Al-Ha'am Hazeh. Al-Halayla Hazeh. Ani Esh'al Okai. Yah Elohai. Lehiyot Iti. Makita Hazot. Babakushat. Nahel Na. Et. Imre. Pi. Lefaneakat. Barik Na. Hama'aseh. Ha'oseh Ali. Tikpabel Na. Im Ata. Mazata King. Po. Al-Hanoseh Hazeh. Hallelujah. Amen. Shalom. Giving honor and praise unto the Most High, the Creator and the Maker of heaven and earth. This is Hebrew class number 17, brought to you from the congregation Shema Yisrael. Understanding full well that the timing, like Thursday before last, may seem out of time and seek. However, next so-called Sunday, there will be no Hebrew class. The one after this, most high willing, will be this Tuesday coming. So I wanted to keep on being consistent as much as possible. All right? We want to give due respect to the leader of the place, Nasi Zipor, as well as the second in charge, Nasi Natan El, as well as Sarda Natan El. The word Natan El, by the way, means God gave or God has given. The word Zippor in Hebrew means bird, like the animal. All right, just for edification purposes in that regard. This one right here, brothers and sisters, is dealing with verb classification. And just like the other classes, one would have to be knowledgeable, if not well studied already, in the first 16 classes in order to proceed. Sometimes when some may say, oh, the class seems to be going fast, or so forth and so on, I do take cognizance and try to slow it down as far as the presentation aspect is concerned. Because this is not a thing in which I'm doing me. It's a thing in which that I am doing, blessed be the Most High, for the people of the Most High. So that's something we want to take for consideration and for edification purposes. All right? Now, we want to start off, because last time we dealt with verbs that begin with the letter Aleph. Now, we're going to deal with, in part, verbs that end with the letter Aleph and how that works. An example, okay, is this word right here, Rafa. Okay? The word Rafa means to heal. All right? You have the word Ma'za, meaning to find. All right? And we have a very common used one, at least certainly in English, in translation, the word Quara, which means to call, to name, or to read. All right? So, all of these verbs here, commonality, all right, brothers and sisters and elders included, is that it all ends with the letter Aleph. All right? Rafa, to heal. Matzah, to find. Quara, to call. Now, these verbs are deemed in Hebrew college structure as Lamed Aleph verbs. Alaman Aleph verb is any verb that ends with the letter Aleph, as seen here. Rafa, Matza, Kwara. Okay? So, taking that into consideration and knowledge purposes, let's look, if we will, at a very commonly used one. All right? The word Kwara. Okay? Meaning as stated, to read, to call, or to name. In its past tense, all right, is the word kwarati, which means I called. All right? Now, in the past tense, you know as such by the suffix. Now, the future is known by the prefix. And the prefix that we're only going to deal with in this lesson, though there's more than one prefix, is the first person, which starts with the letter Aleph. So you have Iqra. Iqra means I will call. All right? So that way that can be noted for edification purposes. All right? Let's look at this here. Kwarati, that's said by a female or a male. Eqra, that's said by a male or a female. All right? The prefix in Hebrew, verbs, be it a lam and aleph or any other kind of verb, is shown, brothers and sisters, within the prefix of it. The suffix, in many cases like that, I called, past tense, future tense on the bottom, all right, is shown as the suffix. So this is something we want to talk about for edification purposes. All right? Now, let's look, going over that particular aspect, right? Let's look at this word here, all right? Matza, meaning to find, all right? So, in its past tense, it will be said as Mazati, I found, okay? The future tense takes that prefix of the aleph, all right? Emza, I will find. Now, if you remember lesson number 6 meticulously, right? This shawah, you join it with the sound before, and then you continue reading. That doesn't change as far as those rules that we went over lesson number 6 is very important for this kind of lesson. All right, so that's something we want to point out for reason and purposes. Emza means I will find. Emza o ta, I will find her. Emza o ta, I will find them. Kwarati o ta, I called them. All right? Eqra o ta, I will call them. If you remember the pronouns that we went over, that should be understood for edification purposes. All right? We want to emphasize, brothers and sisters, that Hebrew is different, yes, but it is not difficult. So let's understand some rules with this so far. All right? Any verb beginning with an aleph is a pay aleph verb, such as ahab, akal, atzor, to store, to eat, to love. All right? Any verb that starts with the letter Aleph, as you see in these three aspects, is referred to as a pay Aleph verb. Let's write another aspect. Any verb beginning with, sorry about that, ending with an Aleph is a Lamed Aleph verb. All right? Quara, Matzah. Now, I want to emphasize something about that word matzah. It means to find. This is not the same word matzah, meaning unleavened bread. All right? Because that ends with a hey. This, as you see here, ends with an aleph. So, any verb that begins with an aleph is called a pay aleph verb. Any verb ending with an aleph is called a lamed aleph verb. All right? So we can gain understanding for edification purposes. Okay, so let's continue on and get some more understanding concerning this kind of matter. Now, let's look, if you will, brothers and sisters, at what is referred to as an irregular verb. All right, now, let's look at, prior to such, regular verbs. And I don't personally like the terminology regular or irregular, because if it's your language, it is what it is. But just want to show a pattern concerning something. Let's look at this word right here. All right? Kata. All right? To write. Okay. Let's look at it in its past tense. Katab T, I wrote. Okay? Then you have Ektob, I will write. All right? So let's understand this. This is the general pattern of what is referred to as regular verbs. Kata. In the past tense, first person is the only one we're dealing with in this entire lesson, as far as the conjugation goes, okay? Katati, I wrote. Ektob, I will write. Had this been the word shamar, meaning to guard or to watch, shamarti, eshmor, all right? Had this been the word quafat, okay? The word quafat meaning to jump. Quafat ti, ek folks. Had this been the word hadal, meaning to stop. Kadal ti, ek do. So the aspect of regular verbs, all right, in this future tense, has the o aspect. O. And then you have e. Now, this is as stated, we're only dealing with the first person, as to say I did or I will. I past tense or I future tense. That's the entire format we'll be dealing with only, all right, once it comes down to this particular lesson here, number 17. Now, katabti ektob, I wrote, I will write. As stated, I want to write this down something I stated, so it can be shown and seen for edification purposes. Regular verbs still dealing with this now, right? Shamar, to watch or to guard. Shamar, T. Eshmor, I watched, I will watch. The O aspect. Okay? So that's how that works in that regard. Now, in regards to another thing concerning regular verbs, be it hatab, hadal, pafat, shamor, one of the things to point out regarding that is the kaf, the tal, the bet, the ket, the dalet, the lamed, the kuf, the fade, the zadeh, sofi, or when it's conjugated, you have a zadeh, same letter nonetheless. The sheen, the mem, and the resh. None of these inside of regular verbs drops out, regardless of the conjugation thereof. So when they deal with what is referred to or when it is referred to as irregular verbs, you'll begin to see a difference in the vowel pattern, be it sometimes in the past tense, be it sometimes in the present tense, be it sometimes inside of the future tense. Sometimes the letter drops off in the past tense. Sometimes it drops off in the future tense. So when you're dealing with what is referred to as irregular verbs, I just wanted to show how what is considered regular verbs show a pattern so you can see where the distinction is when we start to talk in this lesson regarding irregular verbs. All right, this is a presentation giving glory to the Most High, brought to you from Shema Israel for free. So this is something we want to continue in this particular regard. All right? Lamed, Aleph, and Pei, Aleph, verbs, or deemed irregular verbs. So, now let's look at this for instance. Let's just take Lamed Aleph verb, right? If you remember, Lamed Aleph verb is any verb that ends with the letter Aleph. So let's look at this right here, right? The commonly used one, quara, to call or to name, right? The future tense of such, showing the Aleph as the prefix, you have ekrah. Now, had this been a regular verb and not deemed irregular, the future tense vowel pattern would have been like in Eshmor, Ektob, Ekdog. But you still see the E, but there's no O or kolam over the resh. You get Ekwa Mat. So that's to show you why it is deemed irregular. Okay? So that's something we want to go and show for edification purposes. Okay? So let's continue on. We have an example of Hey Aleph, verb, commonly used one. Aha, meaning to love. Okay? Oh, how, I will love. All right? Sometimes people say ho, but that's not wrong either. All right? We have another one, okay? Akal, meaning to eat. Okal, I will eat. See the distinction? In the future tense there, all right, you get the oh ah aspect. That's when you have a pay Aleph verb conjugating that within the future tense. So the vowel pattern is where it's not deemed to be regular. All right. So let's continue on in what we're talking about in this particular regard, if we will. Okay. Let's look at this word right here. Yasha, which means to sit or to dwell, okay? So this is referred to as a peyot verb, okay? Yasha, it's past tense. Remember, we only dealing with the first person, right? Is said as Yashabti, okay? Which means I sat. Then we have in its future tense, a shade. I will sit. All right? Yashabti, I sat. A shade, I will sit. Yashab, root of it. Any verb that starts with a yod, all right? Okay, make that look like a yod more. All right. Any verb that starts with a yod is deemed a peyod verb. This is also considered irregular, and you show, or it is shown in its future tense because the yod drops off. A shade. You don't see a yod in there because it dropped off. That's how that shows its irregularity. Now, let's go on, if we will, brothers and sisters, concerning this kind of subject matter in verb patterns. All right? Let's look at this right here. Nata. All right? This is referred to as a pay noon verb. This too is deemed as an irregular verb. So any verb I want to state that starts with a noon, be it nata, natan, all right, nasab, all brothers and sisters are deemed as pay noon verbs. All right, so that way we can gain something for edification purposes and reasoning. Let's go on, if we will. All right, we have nata ti, meaning I planted. All right, because nata means to plant. I meant to state that. Okay, so its irregularity shows in its future tense because the noon drops out. So you get ta. I will plant. Okay? Now, as in lesson 7 and other ones, whether or not you hear it verbally or you see it written, there's nothing that's either stated or written that's not important. So if you hear me say something that's deemed important even in your head, that you don't see me write down, take note of it. Listen to this lesson again and again if need be. It's on live. Blessed be the Most High. So now, once again, any verb that starts with the letter nun is deemed a paid noon verb. And it shows its irregularity in Hebrew by having the noon drop out inside of, brothers and sisters, the future tense. All right? So let's continue on in this particular regard. All right? We have, brothers and sisters, this here. This is the letter kum, or word kum, should I say. All right? Kum means rise. All right? It is deemed an ayin waw verb. What am I saying? Any verb, brothers and sisters, that has a waw as the middle letter is deemed an ayin waw verb. It is also doomed, or pardon me, not doomed, sorry, deemed as an irregular verb in this regard. Okay? All right? Kum, rise. Ayin waw. Any verb that has waw as the middle letter, any verb that has waw as the middle letter shows its irregularity in the past tense. Quamti means I rose. The waw drops out, so it's not quawamti, it's quamti. The waw is, you may say, come back in the future tense. Kum being its root. Akum means I will rise. Quamti, I rose. Akum, I will rise. This is shown as stated in its irregularity when you have waw as the second root letter. It drops out when you conjugate it in the past tense. Okay? So this is something we want to talk about for edification purposes. Let's go on and continuing with the verb patterns. Brothers and sisters, you have, all right, shir, meaning sing, a verb. All right? It is called in collegiate or college form Hebrew as an ayin yod verb. Okay. This too is also, all right, deemed as an irregular, part of the irregularities. Let's look at this. Shar T. I sang. All right? Ashir, I will sing. All right? I will sing. So let's look at this, brothers and sisters. Sharti, I sing. Ashir, I will sing. Any verb that has a yod as the second root letter. When you conjugate such a verb in the past tense, the yod drops out, but then you then see it inside of the future tense. Sharti. It is not shayarti. All right? Inside of the past tense of the ayin yod verb, when you conjugate it, the yod drops out. So this is the stuff that we wanted to go over and to show in pattern. So let's look at this, brothers and sisters, in the next particular aspect of what we're dealing with and what we're talking about. All right? We have zarar, which means not the nicest meaning, it means to vex. Okay? Zarar means to vex. So you have zar t, zarar t, etzror. I vexed. Zarti. I vexed. Zararati. I will vex. It's roar. What are we dealing with? First off, brothers and sisters and elders included, this is a presentation being brought to you from Shema Israel. Zarar, to vex. Anytime a verb in its root has the second and third letter as the same letter, it is deemed an ayin verb. Now, it shows its irregularity by having the ability, when you conjugate it in the past tense, to drop off one of its root letters. One of the double letters can drop off. Don't have to, but you're able to. Zarati, zararati means the exact same thing. So that's something we just want to point out for edification purposes. When we're dealing in these kind of lessons, it's a little different than the ones we did from 2016 until May of 2017, in that I went over each one meticulously. We're not doing that this time. In the next lessons, you're going to begin to see online, when we do the PowerPoint form, the actual Xerox of sheets of how the verb works and being able to identify it as such. This is why I love the constructive criticism in regards to slowing down and teaching, so I can always refer to you back and it won't seem confusing all the time. Like, go back to lesson 6, go back to lesson 6. It's not saying anybody is on the little bus, all right? It's just shown for reason and purposes that that particular lesson is the pinnacle to be able to understand the ones after it. Lesson number 6. Remember that. Okay, now we're up to number 17. But getting back to this point right here, the future tense is etz ro. Etz ro. It still has the N-O as if it was a regular verb form, but it's not, because in its past tense, you begin to see that you're able to drop off one of its root letters and still come up with the same meaning. So as stated, brothers and sisters, anytime you have the second and third letter as the same root letter, it is deemed an ayin verb. Okay. Let's continue on in this particular regard. You have Raza. All right? Raza means to want or to desire. Okay? Want. It is deemed irregular and in collegiate Hebrew referred to as a lamed hey verb. Lamed hey verb is any verb that ends with the letter hey. Its irregularity is shown in the past tense. All right? Now, I'll put the yod here in the red for a reason. Let's look at this carefully. Ratzah, to want, ends in the hey. When you conjugate any lamed hey verb in the past tense, all right, the hey becomes a yod. Ra, ziti. All right, so we can gain understanding of what we're talking about for edification purposes. Ratzah, to want. Ra, ziti. I want it. I want to state again. When you conjugate a lamed hey verb, and a lamed hey verb is any verb that ends with the letter hey, okay? Inside the past tense, it's not an a-e aspect. It's an a-e-e aspect. So it's ra-ziti, ra-ziti, ra-za, ra-ziti, okay? So let's understand for edification purposes this aspect as well. I will want. Irze. Irze. You have this joined together due to the shawab, all right? And then you have the zadeh with the sero. Irze. I will want. Irze. I will want. Ra. Ziti. I want it. Okay? As stated, its irregularity, brothers and sisters, is shown because the hey, when you conjugate it in the past tense, becomes a yod. All right? That's something we want to expound upon for edification purposes. Raza and root one, I want it, ra-ziti, masculine or feminine. Erazet, I will want. So masculine or feminine saying that. So let's look, brothers and sisters. All right? In this particular regard, you have, and I want to spend a little bit more time on this one. All right? Raza, ra'ah. What and see. All right. Let's go over this. We already shown that ra-ziti, all right? I wanted, I saw. Both of these are deemed lamed hey verbs. All right? In its future tense, all right? It is there as we went over before, brothers and sisters, right? Then you have I will see, I saw. I will see, I saw. Then, I will want. Shawa, join, say go underneath that. All right? So we can gain understanding of what we're talking about. The root of this word right here is going to be circled. The resh, zadeh, and hey. The resh, zadeh, and hey. All right? So, as stated in closing out this particular part right here, but not the lesson. All right? Anytime a verb ends in a hey, as you see here and here, when you conjugate it in the past tense, the hey becomes a yod. All right? So that way we can see for reason and purposes. Hey becomes yod. Hey becomes yod. All right? So this is what we just want to expound upon for such. Let's continue on, brothers and sisters. All right? If we will. Let's look at this here. Lamed, okay, hold on. This word here, shama, meaning to hear. All right? This is deemed an irregular verb because it ends in an ayin. Okay? So I want to show where the irregularity is in this one right here. All right? Let's look at it in the past tense, right? You have shamati. All right? I heard. You have in its future tense, eshma. I will hear. That's not the biggest issue. The irregularity in what is referred to as a lamed ayin verb actually shows in the present tense. Let's look at it. The sheen, show, may, okay, ah. Show, may, ah, meaning hearing. Okay? This is something we want to expound upon. I want to emphasize before I erase and then have to rewrite, which is going to wind up happening regardless. I heard shamati, a man or woman would say that. Eshma, I will hear, a man or woman will say that. Shomea, present tense, only masculine. So let's expound on this a little bit more, brothers and sisters, for edification purposes. I wanted to just to show where the irregularity goes in that regard. Let's look at this here. You have Shomea. The iron takes a patat. Masculine, singular. All right? Then you have Shoma'at, feminine, singular. So a female, regardless of her age, would say, Ani Shoma'at, means I hear or I am hearing. A male would say, Ani Shome'at. So that's where the distinction comes into play. So let's look at taking this one right here at what is referred to as a regular present tense, such as this. Poten, Kotba, right? Meaning present tense, right. Right. Like you're writing. All right? Masculine singular, feminine singular. O-N, O-I. Whereas anytime you have a verb that's a lamed ayin, thus ending in an ayin, it's not O-N, it's O-N-I, masculine, O-A-at, feminine. So this is something, brothers and sisters, we want to point out for edification purposes. Okay? So we're going to have to spend, yes, a little bit more time tonight in this particular one right here. As stated, giving honor and praise unto Yah, creator and maker of heaven and earth. This is a presentation being brought to you from Shema Yisrael. Now, let's look at this right here, the Lamed Ayin aspect. We already explained that it shows its irregularity inside of the present tense. So you have Shomea, Shoma'at. All right? So you have Ani, Ata, and who? You have Ani, At, and he. What are we dealing with right here are the pronouns. Ani, Shomeya, Ata, Shomeya. You hear. We're speaking to a male, regardless of his age. Who? Shomeya. He hears. The feminine aspect is this. Ani, Shoma'at. I hear. If a female is talking of herself. At, Shoma'at. You hear when you're speaking to a female, regardless of your gender and age. All right? He, Shoma'at. She hears. Biti, Shoma'at Hashi'ur. My daughter hears the lesson. Ishti, Shoma'at Hashi'ur. My wife hears the lesson. Aki, Shomeya Hashi'ur. My brother hears the lesson. So this is just something we want to point out for edification purposes. All right? So let's move on in this particular regard. All right? Let's look at this. Shalak. The word shalak means to send. Okay? S-E-N-D. Not send. That's the word kata, which, by the way, is actually the word kata in Hebrew means to send, but that's a lamed aleph verb. All right? But getting back to the point of this here, shalak, to send. What are we saying so far? Any verb that ends with a chet is deemed irregular and thus in collegiate Hebrew called a lamed chet verb. So let's see how this works. All right? Shalati, I sent. All right? Eshlak, I will send. Okay? So that is really not that different from any other kind of verb pattern. Conjugated in the first person, I sent, past tense, and future tense, first person. Okay? So let's see the irregularity, brothers and sisters, all right, shows itself in the present tense. Let's look. Shole'ak. Remember, I keep asking and stating people to watch lesson number 6 and how important that is. If you are looking and hearing me saying Shole'ak in lesson number 17 and wondering why I'm not saying Shole'ka, stop the video, go back to lesson number 6. Okay, so now let's look at this here. You have Shole'ak. I stated in lesson number 6, I don't say the ket as a CH like many Israelites do, only because I didn't want to give the people the impression that the het makes a sound as in cheese or cheddar. So I say the KH, so there will be no misunderstanding the sound being stronger. Okay, now. We have here, brothers and sisters, all right? Sholahat, okay? Meaning, both of these mean sending, all right? But this is on top here, the masculine singular and the feminine singular. Ani, ata, hu. Ani, at, he. Ani, sholeach. A male would say, I am sending. Ani, sholeach. Hanaor chanuta. I am sending the boy to the store. Ani, sholeach. Biti. The bet sifra. I am sending my daughter to her school. Ani sholeach hayladim mita. I am sending the children to bed. Let's get in our grammar in the next lesson. If you listen carefully, I distinctly said, Ani sholeach hayladim mita. I am sending the children to bed. But if you remember, the lamed represents the two. So now, mita also means to bed. Like Shemaima means to the heavens. And Mizraima would mean to Egypt or to straits. All right, so to get that understood there. Beita, to the house. Chanuta, to the store. Okay, by adding the aspect of the ah at the end of many nouns, you're saying it to whatever. Shemaima, to the heavens. Okay, so just want that to be pointed out. What we're dealing with, brothers and sisters, is collegiate Hebrew broken down very simplistic and as slow in speaking on this as possible. I don't like the word slow because none of us are slow. However, for edification purposes and not the spirit of I'm doing me, that's not a problem to represent it in a way it can be understood clearer. Open, as stated, to constructive criticism, not opportunistic statements. You understand? If you are in the question or inside when the video is posted and you ask me, why do I say I'm from the tribe of Dan? I will not answer that because that's not what we were going over in the Hebrew lesson. Now, if you ask me how to say tribe, how to say Dan, get the etymology of the word Dan from the word din, which is an I in your verb, dati, I judge, adin, I will judge, then we can talk. But if you're asking me questions about my person, when we're going over this Hebrew, I refuse to answer that because that has nothing to do with the subject matter. All right, so that's just something we want to point out for edification purposes, brothers and sisters. All right, let's review and close out. All right. Verb patterns. Let's look at this, brothers and sisters. Pa'al. It's a verb itself, meaning to do or to make. This is where you get the root word pe'ula, which means an action or a doing. Now let's draw a little diagram that my teachers even showed me. All right? And go over this particular aspect right here, if we will. Okay? Pay, Aleph, pay, noon, payod. Ayin wow, ayin yod, ayin. Lamed Aleph, Lamed Hey, Lamed Het, Lamed Ayin. All right? Let me make this look like an ayin. I'm sorry, class. All right? So, let's look at this right here. Okay? Pa'al, the verb itself, meaning to do. You have what, brothers and sisters? Pay Aleph, any verb that begins with the letter Aleph. Pay Nun, any verb that begins with the letter Nun. Pay Yod, any verb that begins with the letter Yod. Akah begins with the letter Aleph. Natah begins with the letter Nun. Yashab begins with the letter Yod. Let's look at the middle part here, brothers and sisters. You have an ayin waw. Any verb, brothers and sisters, that has a waw as the second root letter. All right? Kum has that as such. Ayin yod, any verb that has yod as the second root letter. The word shir, meaning sing, like you're singing a song, has the yod as the second root letter. Ayin verbs, any verb that has the second and third root letter as the same letter. The word zarar, the word qarar, the word sabab. All right? All of them and many others having the second and third root letter as the same letter is deemed an ayin verb. Let's look at the last part here, which is the most extensive to speak on. The lamed aleph, any verb that ends with an aleph. Qara, to call. Okay? Rafa, to heal. Ma'zah, to find. All right? Nasa, to take. All of that ends with the letter aleph. All right? Following along, nasa, ending with the aleph. Nasa also begins with the noon. So it's a pay noon and a lamed aleph. Review this lesson. You see where I'm going with that one. All right? You got the lamed hey. Any verb that ends with the letter hey. All right? As in the word ra'za, to what? Ra'ah, to see. Okay? You have the lamed chet, the lamed ayin. The chet and the ayin are both considered guttural letters. What happens as stated, brothers and sisters, in this present tense is o-a-ah or o-a-ak. Because the ket, when you have the patach under it, you say the sound of the ah first. That takes you back to lesson number 6. All right? So this is just something we want to sit there and have pointed out for edification purposes. Brothers and sisters, all right? I want to take the time out now to sit there and show this. This is a book you can get online. This explains why we are what many people deem as non-messianic. Some say Old Testament based. This book available online explains why such is the case. All right? This book here, Egypt Talking Writing, it has some Hebrew in it too. All right? You can also get this book online. All right? For those who are interested in that. And this book right here, brothers and sisters, has Hebrew in it as well. Deuteronomy 28, 15 to 68, the condition of the blacks. This book is available online as the other two are on Amazon. However, for the month of February, what they call Black History Month, this book you see here is available instead of $20 for $15 for a discount. These books are not available online for sale during the Shabbat. I reside in New York, Eastern Standard Time at 5 p.m. on what is called Friday. I have the video, pardon me, the publishers cancel the book for that time on the Shabbat. When the Shabbat is over, I live in the East Coast in the state of New York. I have it to where it's then put back online after after 8 p.m. on Saturday night. I do not want people to buy the book that I wrote on the Shabbat. All right? Because the Shabbat we discussed. It's just giving the glory to the day, you know? So just want that to be noted for edification purposes. I can be reached in my email, all right? Hashub Hut at gmail.com. KASHUB HUT at gmail.com. Most bless. Shalom.